Hello, I'm Tolulokwe and I will be answering exercise 6.5 interview questions. So I will just begin with question number 1. With which programming languages are you familiar with and which do you prefer using and why? Okay, so I'm familiar with JavaScript and TypeScript, as well as other descriptive and scripting languages like HTML and CSS. Which programming language do I prefer using? I would have to say JavaScript. Not only because it's great for beginners, but also because it's a versatile language. So a developer can use JavaScript for back-end programming as well as front-end programming, which makes it a very handy programming language to know. For backend programming, you use JavaScript in Node.js, which is a runtime environment for JavaScript, and for front end, there are many JavaScript front end frameworks such as React, Angular, and Vue, and you use JavaScript while you use these frameworks. Okay, question number 2. Briefly describe a project that you worked on and any challenges that you faced. How did you solve these challenges? So I would have to say the project where I faced quite a bit of challenge was the building the MyFunFlix. I call it MyFunFlix. The MyFlix React client-side application. That's the UI layout for the application, and that was very difficult because that was my first introduction to React, and I found myself struggling a lot with just understanding the concept of how it worked. And at that time I had put myself on a tight schedule. So what I ended up doing, and what was good for me, was I ended up taking a step back and actually going back to the beginning and trying to understand what the key concepts were and what the understanding where I was missing the point, basically. And in the end, I did miss out on a lot, and it did set me back in my timing, but it was really beneficial to me because when I came back to the project and started, I understood very well what was expected of me and understood the concepts very well. So I would say I solved it by going back to the roots and trying to understand the concepts and not caring necessarily about how much time that was going to cost me, even if I had a deadline that I had set for myself. So it wasn't just about like hurrying and rushing, but it was about like actually getting the skill, which I have my mentor to thank for that. So that was good. Question number 3, how do you test and find bugs in your code? Briefly describe the process. Okay, so this is also something that I have learned very recently. Before, I just used to go and just basically run around headless. But now what I do first thing is, once I have an error and it's a command that I have run the command in my terminal, I immediately first try to understand the error, because I feel like once I understand the error, I can then reverse engineer and I know exactly what spot to go to in my code. So, and what is key for understanding the error for me is I copy the error and I immediately put it in Google and try to see what people have, the explanations, not necessarily the solution, because if I don't understand the error, I'm not going to understand the solution. So first thing for me is to try and understand the error. And usually once I understand it, I would be able to find a solution, or at least to know the path to a solution. So one of the key things is it's checking and trying to understand the error first, and then I start to reverse engineer what could have gone wrong. Another great tool for me is console.log, because I can also see clearly in my console, because there are some of those errors that are not very clear, and then I can see very clearly in the console what went wrong where, and then I can try and fix it. But yes, the first thing for me, try and understand the error, and then we can find the solution. Okay, question number 4. In your opinion, what qualities distinguish a great full stack developer from an average one, and why? So in my opinion, I think that a great developer is one that plans. Now, like, the pre-plans the project before they start working on it. I feel like, again, back to the issue that I had in the past, this was where I went wrong. I just kept trying to attack and writing like a lot of code that did not make sense because I had not fully structured everything. I did not know how the structure works. So I find that great developers and the people that I admire, they spend a lot of time trying to pre-plan the application, almost like writing out the application first, and drawing it out, if you may, before then going to start writing code. I find that makes you a bit more structured, and it gives you a better understanding of what is required of you, so you're not just writing thousands of lines of code that do nothing, and then you can write like a clean, short, few lines of code that still do exactly what you want it to do. Okay, that's everything I have, and thank you very much. Ciao.